Hi, welcome and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Oline and I'm a knitter from Norway. And I really don't like to weave in ends. So today I thought I would use this video to motivate me to weave in these ends and to kind of make you guys hold me accountable, because now I have to weave in these ends. And also to make this more fun for myself and hopefully for you, I have found some would you rather questions about knitting that I thought I could answer and talk a bit about while I weave in all of these ends. But before I get started on those, I just thought I would tell you a bit about the first piece I'm weaving in the ends of. This is the Moby Slipover by Petite Knit, and it's knit in size 2 to 3 years, and it's knit in Sandnes Garn Tynn Merino Wool in their ink blue color. And I think I finished this maybe 2 months ago, and it's still not been washed or blocked or weaved in ends, so it's definitely time to get started on that. So that was just a little bit about this garment, and then we can get into the would you rather. The first would you rather I found is, would you rather knit super fast or never make a mistake again? And I think I am quite a product-based knitter, that I knit to get the finished item and not so much for the process itself. So I think I would have to go with knit super fast, because that's kind of where my focus is already. And also I think if you knit super fast, it won't matter as much if you make mistakes, because you can just rip back and then make up the progress again in no time. Of course, it's very boring to make mistakes and have to rip back, but I prefer being able to knit fast and then make a few mistakes along the way and just rip back to fix those. I way prefer that than to knit slow and never make mistakes. I know that because when starting ribbing for the body, for example, I almost make a mistake every time that I knit 2 pearls in a row or something like that along the way, so I have to rip back and fix that almost every time. But it still doesn't make me slow down my knitting. I just think I find knitting a lot more meditative when I knit fast versus slow. So I must say that I would choose to knit super fast. The next would you rather is, would you only knit in one type of yarn or only one needle size? And I think that's a very hard question, and it also depends on if only one type of yarn means only wool or only alpaca, only merino, only mohair. If it means that, I think I have to go with only wool. But if it means only, only drops baby merino or only knitting for olive merino, if it means something that specific, I think I would have to go with only one needle size. And I think then I would go with 3mm, either 3 or 4, because I knit quite a lot of things on 3mm. Almost everything I make for my son is on 3mm. But I also make him quite a lot on 4mm, and most of the projects for myself are on 4mm. So if only one type of yarn means wool, I would go with that. And if not, I would go with, I think I would go with only one needle size, and then I would go with 4mm. Next up, would you only knit with a color you hate or a yarn that you hate? And here I have to say, since I am a project-based knitter, I care quite a lot about the projects afterwards when they're finished, that I can use them a lot, that they will hold up over time. So I think I would have to go with knit with a color that I hate, because most of the yarns that I hate them because they don't hold up that great over time, or I don't like wearing them because they're itchy and stuff like that. So I would much rather knit with a color that I hate, because it's easier to learn to like a color, and I don't think color matters quite as much as the yarn being of good quality. At least for me, it doesn't matter as much. I would much rather knit with quality yarn than a color I like. So I would definitely have to go with a color I hate. And then, would you rather knit with DPNs or magic loop? And here I have to say 100% DPNs. I have never figured out how to do magic loop. I have tried a couple of times and I think I have managed to do it a couple of times, but for me it just takes way longer and I have to concentrate a lot more than when knitting with DPNs. I have used DPNs since I was maybe 6 or 7 years old, so I have really learned how to work with DPNs and move quite fast, while I have to use a lot of brain power just to understand the basics of magic loop. So I would definitely choose DPNs, but I really wanna learn how to do magic loop because it seems like everybody loves it. So I would really like to kind of understand magic loop and what makes it so great. Would you knit only structural knits or only color work? Structural knits are knits like the Moby slip over with lots of different structures, or color work. And I think the choice for me is really easy because I almost never knit color work. So I would go with structural knits, even though my favorite way of knitting is stockinette, and that's the most relaxing to me. I think I would relax more with structural knits than I would with color work, because I'm always so stressed about the tension being off when I do color work. And even though I think color work, specifically traditional patterns, are very neat and I want to be better at making them, I am really stressed about the tension being off when doing color work, so I don't really invest a lot of my time in doing color work. So I think I would go with only doing structural knits, because I would at least be less stressed about the fit of the final item, because even though it's more you have to focus on when you're doing structural knits, I at least know I can keep the tension when doing it. Would you rather knit in all neutral colors or all colors? I think I would go with only knit in neutral colors, because that's what I do the most. But also colors like this are my favorite color, even though I don't knit with them as much. So it would be a hard choice, but because knitting takes so much time for each garment, I do think I would prefer to knit with basics so it would all go together. So I think that has to be my answer, at least now. If you had asked me a year ago, I think I would have gone with knitting in all colors. But with limited time, I want to make sure that it all goes together, so neutrals it is. Next one is also kind of a hard one. Would you knit only baby knits or only knits for yourself? And I would call myself a baby knitter. I knit a lot of baby patterns and a lot of baby garments, and I think I make mostly knits for babies and kids. But lately, as my son has been growing slower and he can wear his garments for longer, I've been really getting into knitting for myself. And I think it's really nice to be able to grow my knitted wardrobe for myself as well. But I think if I would have to choose only one, I would continue making baby clothes, because that makes me the most happy compared to making knits for myself. But I would definitely be a bit sad about it, because I have really been enjoying making more for myself in the last couple of months. So I hope this never comes to fruition. The next one is not that hard for me. Sleeve island or second sock. And I would much rather prefer to be on sleeve island than knit the second sock. At least when knitting top down. When knitting bottom up sweaters, it's a lot different. Then sleeve island and second sock is kind of the same. But when the sleeves are knitted with the body, you pick up stitches or you just continue with stitches you have put to rest. I don't mind knitting sleeves at all, really. Whereas if I have to cast on for a totally new sleeve that's not connected to the body, or when I have to just make a totally separate second sock, I think that's much worse. So I don't really know why that is, but I don't think it has that much to do with it being sleeves or being socks. I just, when it feels like part of the project because it's attached to the project, I don't feel that bad about it. Like these sleeves that were knit from here and down, but when knitting sleeves from here and up, I think it's much worse, and I think that's because they're not attached to the main project. And that's the same with socks. You knit one and then you knit the other. So I would say I prefer sleeve island, but only when knitting top down. And then the hardest question I found is, would you rather knit a pattern you hate with yarn you love, or knit a pattern you love with yarn you hate? And I think this question is really hard, both because how do you define a pattern that you hate? Because I kind of hate knitting the Selma sleepsuit, but I love the final project. Same with the zipper sweater. So is that a pattern I hate? Or is it a pattern I love? I think that definition is kind of hard. And also, since I am very I think the most important part of knitting is kind of the finished product. I want to be able to wear it. I want it to be a smart choice for the climate where I live, all of that. So I think yarn choice is very, very important, but also the patterns that I hate have kind of the same problems. They don't fit the climate here. I don't think they're written that well, stuff like that. So the patterns I hate, I don't even know if it would end up being a finished project, because I don't know if I would understand the whole pattern. So I think this question is just incredibly hard, because I feel like no matter what you choose, you're just going to end up unhappy, because I enjoy knitting, but that's not the most important part for me to enjoy the knitting part. I want to also be able to enjoy the finished product for years to come, so I can't just choose knitting a pattern I love with horrible yarn and then just enjoying the knitting process, because that's not the reason why I knit. So I think I would have to choose pattern that I hate with yarn that I love, and hope that the yarn can make up for the bad patterns, and then just get really good at reading bad patterns, I think, and hope for the best. And then the next would you rather is, would you rather knit summer garments or winter garments? And I think I've talked about this quite a lot earlier on my channel, but I would definitely prefer knitting winter garments, because it's winter almost all year here, and even when it's summer, the temperature doesn't really reflect that. So I think, or I know that I would get a lot more use out of winter garments, and that's what I end up using anyways, just throwing a sweater over whatever I'm wearing. So I would 9 out of 10 times choose to knit up winter garments, so that's what I would have to go with. Item 1, all the ends are weaved in, and this is ready to be washed. So at least I got the ends weaved in on one project. Onto the next one. This is the Carl's cardigan by Petite Knit, and this I have to weave in the ends and sew in buttons, but I think I will have to sew in buttons some other time, because now my focus is to just weave in ends. This is knit in mjuk Vestavind in the color grey, and it's knit in the size 2 to 3 years, and this combo is going to be used by my son on Norway's Constitutional Day. That's coming up in just a week. So I think that this combo together will be really nice when I just get around to finishing it. So that's why we're doing this. The next would you rather question is, would you rather knit big garments like sweaters and jackets, or would you rather knit up accessories like scarves or hats or socks? And if you watched any of me before, I think you would know that I would definitely prefer to knit up big projects like sweaters. Sweaters are my absolute go-to favorite project to work up. For me, sweaters are just a mindless project that I could work on, at least if it's in stockinette, and I just definitely prefer bigger projects that I can work on for a little while and I really like when I finish bigger projects and I can cross out quite a lot of yarn from my yarn stash. That definitely brings me joy when I have finished maybe a zipper sweater that's 600-700 grams, and then I can cross out 600-700 grams from my yarn stash. I think that's a really nice feeling. So I definitely enjoy working the bigger projects, and when working the bigger projects you also get time to really get in the groove. You get to know the pattern. You have time to just work mindlessly before there's something new coming up in the pattern. So I really enjoy knitting on the big garments. The downside to the big garments is that they are the ones with the most ends to weave in usually. So I would say that's the one thing that's going against knitting big garments. And of course when I'm out of the house it's nice to have just a little accessory to bring with me, but I get the most joy from knitting the big items. Would you rather cast on using Italian or tubular cast on or regular cast on? I would definitely rather use the Italian cast on. I was quite on the fence about using Italian bind off and cast on for quite some time, and I did not feel like the end result was worth it in the start when it took me so long to do it. But the more I got used to using Italian bind off and cast on, the faster it went and the more I appreciated the look on the finished item. So now I use Italian cast on and Italian bind off every time. I just call it Italian bind off, but I'm pretty sure what I use is tubular, but I just call it Italian because that's the first name I learned and I just forget to call it tubular. But I do double knitting before I cast on and when I cast off, but I would definitely prefer doing Italian unless I was doing a fold down neck, of course, because then Italian doesn't quite work for that. Would you rather knit up lace or do cables? I think I would rather do lace because I think lace is easier. I haven't really found a way to effectively do cables, so I have to knit with multiple needles and it doesn't go as smooth as I wished it would, whereas I feel like I kind of have lace down, at least somewhat. So, but maybe I should choose cables again because then I can learn how to do it in a better way. I have seen quite a few hacks on cables lately actually, so I'm really excited about someday getting around to knitting myself sweater 15 and trying out all the new tips I have seen. But for now I think I would have to go with lace because I feel like I have more control on that. Would you rather only knit with mohair for the rest of time or never knit again? I think this is quite hard because I do enjoy knitting a bit with mohair when it's in combination with other yarns. It's just one of two strands or one of three strands, then I can enjoy mohair. But I am not such a big fan of mohair. I really enjoy making a lot of sweaters without it. I do not like to work with it alone, so I don't think I would really enjoy knitting with just mohair, but also I would definitely not enjoy never knitting again. So it's just really hard. I think I would have to go with knit using only mohair, and then while knitting using only mohair, learning how to do a different hobby. I did crochet a bit before, so maybe I would have to pick that back up again or learn how to sew or something, because I don't think I could just live with having knitting as my main hobby when I had to knit using only mohair. But I would choose knitting using only mohair and then knit using mohair and then also learn a different hobby. That's really all the would you rather questions I found, and also my phone is running out of battery and my son woke up from his nap, so I have to end this here. I almost finished 2 out of the 5 that I have to weave in the ends on, so I have to pick this back up again. But that was all I had time for this time. I hope you enjoyed this video and a bit of a different video for me, and if you did, please leave a like, and if you want to see more from me, subscribe, and I hope we can use this method to weave in some ends another time, because I definitely need the motivation. If you have any tips on how to have less ends to weave in, or how to motivate yourself for weaving in ends, I would really love those, because I need it. But yeah, that was all for today. Bye!